one characteristic that contributes to this idea of coveting is a term that you may have heard called FOMO, the fear of missing out. FOMO is a term that was created by this student in the Harvard when he was in the Harvard Business School. His name is Patrick J. McGinnis, and this was a term that came up in the early 2000s. And he said when he arrived on campus, he was consumed with the persistent anxiety that no matter where he was or what he was doing, something better was happening elsewhere. He said it was a new product of just where he lives. For the first time in his life, he was immersed in an intensely choice-rich environment where almost anything seemed possible. At the same time, he could never seem to hope to scratch the surface of what was offered. All he had to do was compare himself to his peers, most of whom were very happy to tell him how much they had on their plates, just to know that he could never keep up with them. Patrick moved from a small town that was valuing simplicity. And when he went to Harvard, he found himself being bombarded with choices and wanting to know how to maximize these opportunities and these experiences being at Harvard, especially the ones that he saw as once in a lifetime opportunities. How many of us can relate to this whole idea of FOMO, fear of missing out? I know I definitely can, especially coming from humble beginnings, moving from my hometown to going to college, and then from going to college and moving to a metropolitan area like this in the DMV. Getting married, starting my career, building community with people, especially in a commuter society, constantly, everywhere you want to connect with somebody, you got to drive a little bit to get there. Also in building professional networks, all these different things are very overwhelming. A lot of the circles that I have are either multi-generational and they're multi-ethnic, and thus I am seeing life from multiple perspectives. My career, my family, what it is to vacation, what it is to have fun, all these different things, health and wellness, it all comes from these different views. And I sit in these conversations, and at times, I'll be lying to you if I told you, if I never said, man, I think I should be doing that. This whole idea of FOMO, or even just at a greater level, coveting, is just this idea that God is holding out on us, that we're missing out on something. And to add to this the whole power of social media, and we start dealing with all these powerful algorithms, all these different metadata. You open a web page for 0.5 seconds, they already got the information there, how long you looked at a particular image on screen before you scrolled. All this data is there, constantly used as a way to give you real-time notifications of new things that might be of your interest. They also, and because of that, social media can oftentimes be a medium that fuels this idea that we're missing out on some opportunity, some event, or some kind of fun. Somebody else described FOMO as this pervasive apprehension that others might be having rewarding experiences from which I am absent. I'm not there, but everyone else seems to be doing great and enjoying themselves. And some studies have shown that there's a relationship between all these impulsive checking of the phone and all the different apps, and some issues related to psychological conditions like anxiety, depression, low self-esteem, obsessive compulsive disorder, addiction, attention deficit disorder. And even with those psychological impacts, there even is a greater impact on us physically. When looking at coveting, it's one thing to be inspired by what we see or what we hear. I think, quite frankly, for all of us, I think we all want and are invested in our own unique well-being. We all want to do well in our personal lives. I think that's an honest thing as an individual in this world.